Hello, Wild Hearts, and welcome back to Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh. And today I am sitting here cracked open, already flowing with emotion and tears because I have a very special guest that I am excited to introduce you to. And the reason why I'm excited to introduce you to her and for you to feel her and her energy and her, potent medicine is because oh, it just feels so close to home for me in my body. And I think that's why we both have started we sat in prayer this morning, we cracked open, we were already a little bit emotional and tears are flowing. And yeah, the way we have connected, it's my dear, and I'm going to get this maybe wrong and I'm going to allow it into the space anyway, but her name is Shahrazad and her energy is epic. And we actually haven't met in real life yet. We've only connected on Instagram for a couple of years now, I think.
Mhm.
And her story, her origin story is quite similar to mine. And when you start doing this work and dropping into the body and the somatics and trauma integration, you really start to feel the energetic quality of another person and human and
Mhm.
being. And there is this flavor and this texture and this depth. It's like you actually can feel when a woman or a person has gone to the underworld journey of her body and risen and resurrected herself. It's they're templated different and you feel it in your body and your heart. And that's what I feel every time I read anything that she shares, anything that she writes. It's potent, and what she is offering into the world is incredible. And I just love her so much. I really do. And it's insane how much you can love someone and share a resonance with their energy and not even connect with them in the flesh. And it's surreal to me. So I will hand you
Mhm.
over to her to let her introduce her work and her medicine and what she does. But today we're going to get really raw and real on our journeys, the path of the womb, our forging in fire gifts, and we're just going to flow organically. We already know it's going to be potent, powerful, and strong and on point. So, welcome. Hello. Thank you for giving us your time and energy here today.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. The way you said my name almost sounded like you were invoking like something really powerful. I was like, "Ooh, I almost like the way you said it." But yeah, my name is Shahrazad and I am the creatrix of Sovereign Womb Alchemy, which is to me like a living temple space where women and men can come to truly heal, integrate, and forge new relationships with their body, their womb, their hada. That's really the focalization of my work. And I have my degree, a formal degree in somatic trauma therapy, and was a therapist, but I knew through that realm of training and initiation that it was missing so many potent threads of what it is to actually heal trauma at the root and to fully descend into our bodies. And there was only so much that avenue could really bring me into myself. So I really feel like the work that I bring forward and the containers I create are really bringing people into their bodies, just way deeper, deep down and descending into themselves. And we go into the places that are often taboo in society where there's the sexual wounding and there's the shame and, like you said, the muck that we have to really go dig into and to create capacity for, to then birth new life from, and to really create a different frequency, a different template other than what we had walked through. So
Oh,
yeah.
potent, powerful. It is so needed in this world, your work, our work. It is such a calling of divine devotion. And
Mm.
it is a very sort of icky, shadowy underworld that we tread through that a lot of people in this line and field of work haven't had that lived embodied experience of. And that is
Mhm.
what I really want to sort of sing to and solidify here is how our mission, how our calling has really called us. And we have walked the walk of alchemization and transmutation. And it has come from our own sort of deep, insidious marks of trauma. So I'm
Mhm.
curious if you would like to share some of that, share some of your story and how it has actually allowed you to sink deeper into your work, your calling, your mission. And I feel like this is going to be potent for a lot of people because I feel like we're seeing the world start to come into alignment in a whole new way. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there is this new sort of archetypal leader that is actually coming to the forefront, which I believe that we are leaders in. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really want to sing to that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I feel like you spoke to around being called into versus like seeking out. You know, it's like obviously the focalization of my work is the womb, and my deepest wounds and imprints have happened within the womb, you know, from early childhood, physical and sexual abuse, my lived reality of witnessing domestic violence between my mother and father. It's like I have seen the harm against the feminine and have experienced that myself from the tender, you know, young development of my psyche, my body, my soul. So it really shaped me in terms of the relationship I had with my body, which was vastly dissociated and oscillating between dysregulation and fear. And it was through those initiations that brought me into the deepest form of dissociation, which was addiction. And my addiction started very young. I started using substances when I was 12, and by 16, I was using crystal meth. And for me, it was really about numbing all of that dysregulation, all of the uncomfortable sensation. Like I didn't have the tools to cope. I didn't have the capacity to feel. I didn't understand what I had experienced in my body, and I didn't have the resources. So the only way I knew how to survive was by using substances to keep me alive, to keep me here ultimately. And I feel like, you know, going through my recovery, going through my spiritual awakening, coming through that portal of like the deepest underworld and finding that will to live, that guided me deep into my womb, calling me deeper, calling me back. It's almost as if like those imprints of the wounds is what catalyzed my path of going into the womb. And then she just showed me everything I'm here to do. It's wild to think about. It's almost like, you know, it's non-linear. It's like this circle spiral path. And as I'm like bringing this work forward now, I can really see, you know, we have choices to make upon our path, right? I feel a lot of us are touched by pain or touched by tragedy or touched by like horrific aspects of humanity. And we can choose to get lost, to get destabilized, or we can choose to live, to have faith in, and to use that to alchemize and to bring forward medicine. And I really feel like my soul is just here to do that, which is a part of the name of my brand, which is a part of the name of your brand, right? It's like alchemy. It's like taking that dirt, that muck, that pain, that trauma, and turning it into gold, which is the beauty. We're turning it into beauty and healing. So,
Yes, that's so beautiful. And it's so important too, because I feel like there is a lot of people, there are a lot of humans that are stuck in the muck, right?
hmm
And I
hmm
feel like there is, because it's heavy wounding, there's heavy conditioning
hmm
in all of those points that you shared, whether it's addiction, sexual abuse, childhood trauma, which me and you have both had a very similar experience in
hmm
with our upbringing. We have kind of been hit from every sort of angle and imprint within our wounds.
hmm
I believe there is a purpose for that. I believe that was, like you said, a deeper calling into feminine expression, like the womb, like we really alchemy to be leaders in this space, right? And I
hmm
believe that, yeah, there's a lot of people stuck in those heavy imprintings, not feeling good enough, like because these wounds like tear you all the way down, like and
hmm
really make you feel like you are not worthy, you are not good enough, you have to be caged, and yeah, it's not safe, the world is not safe, and like the feeling of disgust and everything in the body can be so overwhelming that you do disassociate. And
hmm
that's that's the point, right? In the world that we're living in, like there's a
Yes.
reason why that's
Yes.
happening, to keep us from
Hmm.
our power, to keep us from
Hmm.
beauty, to keep us from God, life force,
Hmm.
like this full uninhibited expression. And it's interesting because, yeah, I feel like I know it's an important message because there's a lot of people that's stuck in that space. And I feel like we are kind of like walking embodiments of what is true, walking embodiments of uh this way, kind of like that. We have done it. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm so proud of us that we have been able to, because it is a choice. We get asked a lot of different ways and a lot of times which path we're going to choose, the path that
Hmm.
most people walk or the path less trodden on. And
Hmm.
it can be hard to choose that path and to choose life and to choose a way that is unknown. Like a lot of people, there's a fear of the unknown. There is an actual deep seated, yeah, fear of letting ourselves kind of free fall and be caught and have faith. And yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely like there's light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, to put it in a real cliche way of, you know, yeah, because there is this point of being in the cave and being stuck there and not being able
Yeah.
to see your way out. And I believe that the new people that are sort of birthing the new world in a way, and this new way of being, are the way showers of this. Like,
Hmm.
just because you've had this experience or these wounds or traumas does not make you any less worthy. Like, it actually can sometimes make you a little bit more embodied, deep, like rich, so you can rise up and,
Hmm.
yeah, form a new path, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you're speaking to is so potent. Like we are showing what's possible
Yeah.
through our decision. And again, that decision doesn't come easy because a lot of the traumas that are incurred, we had been victimized. And I think that's really important to name. But when we form an identity around being a victim is when we get stuck. And so it's like, how do we root our identity in something other than victimhood while still honoring the preciousness of what we incurred? And a lot of it is injustice. So it's not to negate that there was a part of us that had been victimized, but if we overly identify with that, we will get stuck. We get stuck in that dissension. We get stuck in the underworld. We're overly identifying with being a victim, and we do not remember that we have the power and capacity to find our way through. And I think, you know, we have found our way through, and I'm sure both of our stories are unique yet similar, right? But it's like we've had to forge tools in our toolbox to help us to integrate and catalyze so many parts of ourselves. And I think a part of the work we bring forward is offering those tools and sharing those tools, right? So for the people that are kind of in that dissension, kind of stuck in certain parts of their path, it's like we're here just being like, hey, here, try this. This worked for me. It's like we're almost holding a light in this like dark tunnel, not to, take away from their own process and their own, coming to strength and power in themselves, but more so, again, like that guiding light and showing what's possible. And I help a lot of my clients through this. Like, for example, when you get triggered, we often can get overwhelmed sensationally within the body. And it's easy to go into the mind and go into story and kind of ruminate and be up here. And that's when we've left our bodies. And a lot of us, again, with my story too, it's like I didn't have the capacity or the knowing how to even hold, because it's not just one sensation, it's like a plethora of so much pain. And so this work is really about like, how do I become so curious about this sensation I'm experiencing, this piece of my body that I'm experiencing, and allowing myself to leave the story and just feel it in my body. And from the body's perspective, sensation is just sensation. We create story around that. Just like when I get nervous in my tummy, I'm like, it could be anxiety, it could be excitement, right?
Yeah.
It's like I create the story around what I'm experiencing. But if we're able to tune in and build the capacity to just feel the sensation, we gain wisdom around what our bodies actually need from us versus just leaving our bodies, and then that never resolves. So a big part of the work I do is like helping to create a space where, even if it's just a small pocket at first of safety, like they're like, I don't feel safe anywhere. It's like, okay, can this little shoulder piece feel safe for you right now? Let's start there and then move our way down.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love that you touched on so many beautiful points there that I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Creating a little bit of safety, pockets of safety in the body is so paramount. And I feel like, especially the way the world is moving in this moment, like we really need, and I talk about this all the time, that we need to build our capacity as humans right now,
Mm-hmm.
sensationally in our bodies. I feel like so often we're disconnected and disassociated. We numb out, whether it's just watching tally or any coping mechanisms or defense mechanisms, or not being comfortable in the body. It's marketed to us, society. It's the way the matrix systems are all designed, let's be real. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just really about those small pockets and fractals within the body that we can be like, oh, we can touch and taste this and be here for a microsecond. And then
Mm-hmm.
expanding that out. So, then you can start really truly inhabiting your full body, because I believe fully inhabiting your body and filling it up is the only way to combat a lot of the things that are being thrown at us. Even the
Mm-hmm.
victimization, wounding, and imprinting that a lot of us, I would say, 99% of us hold on to. And,
Mm-hmm.
even now, like it is hard. Like sometimes, you know, and I always love to be really raw and authentic with me and like my journey. But even now,
Yeah.
people really think that, we've got it all figured out. We're always in our bodies. We're super connected and we're living this extremely delicious, like blissful life. But even now, like the imprinting is so deep in my body and system sometimes that I actually still to this day crave or hunger or create these like self sabotaging
Mm-hmm.
experiences for me to feel, and I feel like I'm actually just wired this way. Like I'm such an existential being that it's kind of like I love the chaos point sometimes. It's like I love to dip in and to feel it. But it's like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I've been wired that way my whole life, to be in victimization, to have these experiences. And it's like sometimes I dip into that and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, wow, okay. And then I've got to pull myself back out again and be like, okay, that was a bit of a crazy day or two. I felt that. And then it kind of reminds me like, that's not who I am anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like walking in a pair of shoes that I haven't quite, I'm like, it's like my trauma parts and pieces or my little inner
Mm-hmm.
girl hasn't fully caught up to the truth and the being of who I am right now. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to like sit with both of them being true, like at
Yeah.
paradoxically in my body sometimes. And yeah, I just wanted to like really speak to that, because sometimes people can think that, yeah, there is like this moment in time where you get to where everything's like
Mm-hmm.
figured out, and then that's when they can show up and share their medicine and share their gifts and share who they are. But it's false. Like that's so false. And social media has a lot to say for that, because we see these little
Mm-hmm.
perfected slices of people and it strips the muck and the
Mm-hmm.
actual, the true grit of reality and humanity. But yeah, I think that is something I really want to like solidify, that, that's part of our path. That's part of who we are. And we're fully divine, fully human all at once. So
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah, I think you're speaking to something really important because I think healing can become a trap. And
Yeah.
it can become another thing we need to attain in order to be good enough, to finally rest in the knowing that we're worthy of just existing as we are. And I truly feel like this work isn't about arriving at some perfect place, but really just holding ourselves in every aspect of ourselves in compassion and love. Like, how can we really just create that space when we fall off, when an old pattern comes up, when a trigger comes up? It's like, how can I just unconditionally and ferociously love myself there and hold that space, and then learn more and do better, and get my little girl and tell her, come on, we're gonna learn a little bit more this time. It's like, it's all about, really, I feel, just like being attuned to ourselves with love.
Oh, I love that so much. Being attuned to ourselves with love. That's really
Yeah.
what it's about, right? We are our own, we become our own abusers. We become our own inner critics. We become, and it's this eternal looping system, and this downward spiral that happens. And I really believe it is the work of, like, if we're to talk, like, it's insidious. Like, it is like
Hmm.
this insidious siphoning of our own energy and giving up our own power and energy to something other than truth, right? Because it's
Yes.
not true. It's not
No.
true. And that imprinting
Mhm.
is so deep when you've had a lot of, like, childhood trauma, sexual assault, especially
Yes.
sexual trauma. And I really want to hit on this a lot, like a lot. I
Hmm.
don't know. We'll feel into it. Um, because I believe that it's one of those imprintings or traumas within the feminine or the woman, or, people in general, whether what gender they are, uh,
Mm.
because I also know men who have experienced
Hmm.
this very
Hmm.
intimately, and, like, the wounding from that creates such a gaping wound and such a, yeah, the everything is amplified when you've experienced
Hmm.
this. Your own inner abuser will continue to loop you in that system. That victimization is huge and very real. Like, it's, and then there's that whole, like, disassociation from your body where you're feeling completely severed from disconnection, wanting to escape. That escapism is in all different pathways and areas. And yeah, I really want to talk about that because the felt
Hmm.
sensual, like the feeling of disgust in the body and dysmorphia in the body, it can take a long time to actually feel okay in the body. Just okay, right? Like,
Yeah.
just feeling like normal. And I feel like sometimes you can feel like a little bit of an alien, like you're not really meant to be in this world, because it
Hmm.
actually, yeah, it hits at such a tender, most innocent part of ourselves, right? Like, that is our pure essence, I believe. Like, our
Hmm.
sexual expression, like who we are as, like, a sexual being, is the most intimate, delicate, like, pure energy there is. Like, it's such
Hmm.
a beautiful, delicious quality. And then when that is attacked or abused, used, and violated, it is like such a, oh, tender wounding to walk through for the rest of the world. But I also want to hit on how it's like our biggest gift, right? Like, how actually, like, that reconnection is our biggest gift, especially for somebody. And I want to talk on this too. I want to get your thoughts. As somebody who disassociated a lot, I
Mm.
always talk about how that actually helped me connect to the unseen realms and become
Mm.
quite a mystic and an oracle, right? And yeah, the medicine was actually dropping back into my body again and pulling those gifts down into this realm with
Mm.
me, because I believe that we can see, and I know you can too, these sort of energies and qualities and things within the body that a lot of people can't see and feel.
Hmm.
And I want to talk on that because, yeah, I'll leave that there. I would love to hear what's bubbling up in your body from that share, and then
Yeah.
go a bit deeper.
Yeah, there was so much bubbling up. I'll go back a little bit. I feel like what you're talking about, like this, like the pure essence of our sexual womb energy, is, in my opinion, it's like our wombs are the portal into God, into the heavenly realms. It is, and I always conceptually knew that, but birthing my son really opened the gateway for me to fully know, like the gnosis of the way that souls are coming through our portal and we're creating life. So that essence, that primordial essence, is precious. And I feel like you were like speaking to those textures, and I was just like, yes. And, obviously from like a more multidimensional view, and I do view the womb as very quantum like. It's like, to me, again, a portal into God. It's just like everything. When we are violated and we are harmed, and that energy is implanted, because again, our wombs receive that energy gets stuck within parts of our womb matrix, and our wombs are what are birthing. We're birthing our reality, we're birthing our being. And so that part you were speaking to about how it's so insidious, and it really finds its way through so much parts of our being. It's, to me, feels like that's the preciousness of the womb. And it can create such a fractalized feeling, because again, our womb holds not only our previous descendants, our ancestral lineage, but again, like the seed of our future lineage. So that potency is held there. And when we find our way back into her, and we are able to start to clear and kind of integrate and I guess, like, rethread the pain matrix, and really awaken her to her organic design. Because I feel like that is what we're doing, is we're restoring our wombs to her organic design before the imprints of trauma. So once we're able to do that, we're able to really awaken to the full embodiment of our gifts. And for me, my personal journey was like, I was very psychic as a young girl. I actually saw like demons and entities attached to my father in our home. There was beings that would talk to me, and I was so scared that I shut all of that off. And it wasn't until much later, when I had gone through my spiritual awakening and created some semblance of safety in my body. Like, it wasn't the entirety, because I didn't go into my womb yet, but there had to be a baseline level of safety for me to even feel safe to see what I can see. And to be able to, like you said, go into other realms, like see beyond what we're just given at our face value. But it wasn't until my journey of going deeper into my womb that I really was able to reclaim and reopen a lot of the pathways of my gifts, which are like even beyond sight. It's like just this gnosis that comes in. I hear things. It's like people ask me, how are you doing this like quantum womb clearing? I'm like, it's so hard to describe, because it feels like all the senses of my body come alive, and I'm receiving data from this other person's womb on a multi-sensory level. And that didn't come until I went into my womb. For me personally, I was like, I had to go deep in there, but there was a there was something around awakening those gifts first that I had to catalyze before being able to go into myself.
Yes, yum. I love that so much because, I see, and I feel like this is a bit of a thing that's kind of falling away as we speak. There
Mm.
is, I don't know why this keeps coming through in everything I'm saying today, but I'm going to surrender it to God, okay? But there is this new energy. We're descending from the mind space, right? We're descending from this like logical mind, and we're moving into a more body based way of living, truly. And
Hmm.
it's interesting because I feel like as the energy of the world is kind of like moving upward, we're like anchoring in and down. It's kind of really interesting to witness. But
Hmm.
anyway, point of that story was we have lived in a very logical, you obtain, you get a certification, you obtain this knowledge, and then you go forth and share it with people. And that kind of makes sense. But we're seeing this new way coming through now where it's actually, it can't be logicalized. Like it's not very conceptual. Like what we
Hmm.
do, like what me and you do, and the way we work, it's hard to digest for a lot of people. It really, because it doesn't come from this space, it doesn't come from the head.
Hmm.
It is actually a full multi-dimensional experience within the body. And that
Hmm.
makes it really hard for us to like label and market and box and be like, oh, this is what I do. And it hasn't really
Hmm.
fully come just from qualifications,
Hmm.
which I think is really a new way. Like people are like really starting to understand that people who've had that lived experience, that like we're all templated. We have these beautiful, like true, pure templates of our gifts, our medicine, our calling, like our authentic expression, and it's all weaved in. And that is what we're here to do, an anchor, right? And to be
Mhm.
an embodiment of that. And everything in this world is geared towards keeping us away from that, right? Like these
Yeah.
wounds, these imprints, these like insidious, like inverted perceptions. And it's really interesting because, yeah, I feel like, how do you even explain to people what comes through you? And I don't think you really truly like get it and understand it unless you have done that deep diving yourself and have had
Yeah.
that experience. And you're like, oh wow, I get it now. Like there is this humming and this like quality within my body and being that wants to move like in me and out of me and around me. And I'm like also co regulating and connecting with these other beings when they show up, and it's powerful. Mm.
Yeah. I that's like actually bringing in, like I just finished up like a series of what I call my sacred soma sessions with a masculine client. And when he first arrived to me, he was going through, I guess what he would name as like a feminine awakening. Like he had been so in his masculine and finding that there were pieces of, obviously from his mother, like a deep mother wound. And finding he had a really hard time being in his body. And so essentially through our sessions, we started with the simplest like hand on hara and just being there. And I told him, I'm like, this is the most simple and profound practice, but it's going to really catalyze a lot. And it's like at first he was like, okay, I don't really feel anything. And, it was like, that's okay. We'll just be here. It's like you're just letting your body know that you're listening, that you're tuning towards your body. It's okay if your body's not responding yet. It takes time to thaw out the numbness when we haven't really been attuned. So, but by the end of our session, like the last one we just had when we finished up our series, he was like, I can feel, and he's like receiving. He's like, I can receive like love. Like he's like, I'm more in tune with my wife now when she comes and gives me gestures of love. Like I can receive her and I can like just be present with her and really open my heart to her in a way that I was blocked off from because he had so much armor in his heart. And so I really feel like, I spoke this language and spoke these words to him that didn't land at first, but it's like, obviously, when you go through the initiation and you do the work, you will land in that. And we're holding a frequency, we're holding a template, like, because even beyond accolades, certifications, our lived embodiment is holding what I feel like we become like tuning forks, right? It's like the people that come into our fields and like work with us start to train, and they start to not only learn the tools, but really embody the frequency that we're holding. So I find that all the time that at first they don't understand. And then by the end of our work, they're like, oh, wow, I get
I find that
it.
that's so true.
Yeah.
And it is like it is. I find that because we are this. Oh, there's a couple of yummy points there, but there is this energetic quality or frequency that we're holding that people are drawn to and magnetized to. And yeah, there is this point. This is what I always say too. Like when it lands in the body, you will feel it. You'll understand it, and then all
Hmm.
of these things. It's like that. I'm such a visual person sometimes, but it is like this energy is kind of like moving through the body, like going through, and then it just gets to this point. And sometimes, like, I don't know, maybe that is the womb point, like this inner out of realm, like portal within them as a woman, maybe where it just lands and it kind of just, wow, they're like, wow. And everything clinks back into place in their body. And they're like, everything that you've shared has made sense. It's landed in the body. And it's like, this moment of complete revelation that I am
Yeah.
just so in. It cracks me open each and every time. And I love that you brought up the point of the man like being disconnected from the feminine, basically, because I feel this is a huge thing that's going on in the collective at the moment. We are seeing such a huge, and most of the men I work with as well, like in relationships, in partnership, this is the thing I see in all of their bodies. They actually are so, they can't feel their bodies. They are so disconnected from their feeling body that they can't relate to or connect with the woman in their life. And they, oh, it's just such a huge wounding that I see, that it just really, yeah, disconnects them from their body, their feeling. And we're seeing such a, because, you know, the feminine has been completely like eradicated and desecrated for so long. And this is what we're seeing, like the rebirthing of at this moment. And women are choosing not to date men at this point in time. Like, we are seeing this such a split and divide, because I believe that women have been on the forefront of this inner journey and alchemy journey and, you know, descent into their bodies for such a long time. And men have not been. Unfortunately, there's been this huge sort of separation. And yeah, what I'm seeing and feeling in the collective, and the message that I am seeing, is this like ache of separation between the two. And also the isolation that we're going to be seeing and feeling with the men for some reason. And I don't know why, but there is this like isolation journey that we're going to see, which is actually going to create this kind of thing for them to have to actually journey through. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? What's your feelings on that? What's your gnosis on that? Give it to me
the
all.
first the first thing that comes through is like the hero's journey, right? And how like the man has to go through his own initiation without the feminine, essentially, whether that is mother breaking apart from mother, or wife, lover, whoever it may be. It's like they have to reawaken their own inner knowing of the strength that they have within themselves. So there is a little bit of a solo journey that these men have to like move through, being initiated. And a lot of what I see with the men that I work with is just immense shame. And because of that shame is so insidious, it's so heavy, and it's really, I find that that is probably like the hardest sensation to fully be present with. And it's so, it makes sense that a lot of the men are disembodied and they are disconnected. You know, I do feel like men and women operate just biologically differently in terms of their emotional kind of capacities and the way they're relating to their emotions. But in general, there's almost like a numbness that I think a lot of the masculines are having to thaw. And so they can really attune. Again, it's like we want them in their warrior, but we want them in their hearts. Well, you know, it's like we want you strong and like wielded. We don't want you super like in your feminine and like losing yourself, right? In the feminine dimension. I'm like, we need you like beacons of truth, like swords like that are clearing illusion. However, you know, what we've seen in our culture, the overarching culture, is like masculinity without heart. And so power is just like creating, it's like overpowering, essentially creating more harm. So I do feel like a lot of the women are, I've seen more women claiming celibacy than I've ever seen before. I think a lot of women are recognizing like the sanctity of their womb and the preciousness of their sexual energy, and just like the gnosis that like to share that with someone is the most precious gift. And because we are absorbers and we are receivers, and we receive everything from the masculine and then we create from that space, it's like we need to be so discerning about what we're receiving and welcoming into the most precious portal of our body. So I see women really finally like just embodying their worth, knowing like the sacredness of their body and becoming more discerning, which I think inevitably is allowing the men to kind of level up a little. It's an invitation to level up and join us in the journey, you know, versus separation, like, oh, I don't want you. It's just like, again, that same thread we started with is like showing what's possible, because a lot of the collective feminine has been doing this deeper work. It's like we've already embodied showing what's possible so they can see that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there is this element that, you know, I have seen, and it's siphoning the womb, right? It's
Hmm.
siphoning feminine, like feminine energy. It's siphoning us as women. And I feel like that has been, that's one of the things that we see everywhere. Marketing,
Hmm.
social media, like, and I think it is such an unconscious thing that a lot of men do when because it's imprinting and pain points, and they are unconsciously, yeah, siphoning our life force, siphoning our wombs, like really re-imprinting these programs within our wombs of like not being worthy, not being good enough. And it's just this like over and over and over thing that we are seeing. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, what is one way we can stop that is to stop feeding it. So there's no wonder that a lot of people are choosing celibacy and disconnection
Mm-hmm.
from that completely, like severing that thread, because you have to really sever it before you can rewire it and birth something new. There is this, and when I was celibate as well, like that was like the deepest journey I ever went on, completely celibate for a few years and really connecting in with my womb. And at that time, that was when I fell pregnant. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it was because, and the caliber of man that I called in after that was next level, was insanely beautiful, like my ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
because I really re-imprinted it. Before that, it was like all very abusive partners, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
you really cultivate that energy within yourself, and yeah, then you can move a different way. Like then you can call in, and because that's what we're doing, we're as vessels of creation, we're constantly calling in what we want to birth, and we have to be discerning about what it is that we're calling in and allowing, like we allow these men to sort of, yeah, have this. And I'm seeing like as well, we're moving through a very like very global predator energy that's sort of being shown to us,
Mm-hmm.
and we're kind of transmuting. So it's really interesting, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think you spoke to something really powerful and potent around the siphoning, right? Because that is the hijacking of our sexual life force energy that is inorganic to our organic biological design. Like the womb is meant to receive, and the masculine is meant to give and penetrate and like provide. So when a man is taking, the architecture has reversed. There's a reversal taking place, and so, as it's harming both the masculine and the feminine in that reversal current, which is why I 10 out of 10 recommend celibacy. I feel like whenever someone comes to me and is like, I'm ready to go deep and alchemize sexual shame, sexual trauma, like when they want to do the work, really clearing any type of energy exchange with another human being allows you to recorrect that current flow, to really restore, call back all of that energy. I do believe through the work that I've done that like nothing that has been siphoned cannot be reclaimed. I've seen that, like we can call all of that back to us. So it's just knowing how to do that and knowing we can. I think that's important for all sexual violation survivors to know, because I think in the violation, and if we have been touched in the most horrific, violent ways, it feels like a piece of us have been taken. And we can receive that back, call that back, because it's our own organic essence. It is almost like, like we're magnets to our own frequency. So that is ours. We can call it back. So, anyways, I just needed to name that side
Yes,
note. But
I'm
coming back,
glad.
yeah, I feel like celibacy allows you to really just not only come to understand your own sexual energy and your own sexuality, your own womb, your own hara, but to become like the sacred protector of that, right? To really hold that energy and to allow that to magnify through us. And I feel the women that I've worked with that are celibate and are holding their womb energy, unless again they're in divine union and they're like with their union partner, they're with a beloved partner who's not siphoning from them. So that's aside. But most women I know are still engaging in sexual experiences with men that haven't recorrected their own reversal yet. So there is a lot of siphoning taking place unconsciously, and that will drain a woman's life force, her beauty, her money. So I've seen like the glow ups of the glow ups when a woman is like in her celibacy journey. It's like money, and it's like she's able to magnetize and really just fill her being with what is her own essence, which is the closest essence to God. She can come more deeply into union with God when her being is in alignment.
Mm. Oh my goodness. I love this so much. And it's so true because, yeah, you can never really reclaim what you haven't touched yourself, right? And so
Mm,
I believe that really connecting with your own sexuality, like your own, you know, pure erotic essence, and really cultivating that allows you to go to the depth of calling it back and reclaiming it. But you don't even know what it is until you get down and in it and touch it and taste it yourself. And that is something that I see, you know, with a lot of like maiden, like young women and myself.
mm,
We haven't had that transitional, like beautiful experience of marking that womanhood, like moving into your sexual expression. Most of the time, we kind of just like stumble into it and fall into it. Like we lose our
mm,
virginity, like we just don't know what we're doing before, and we haven't even tasted and touched it ourselves yet. So we're just giving it up and allowing, we don't even know what we're doing. So, and it's a real big passion of mine. It's like we need to have these, and we've lost these sacred markings of these passageways as men and women
hmm.
when we've moved into like menarche, when we start our bleed,
Yes.
when we transition.
Yeah.
Like there's so many portals of like, yeah, when men stop becoming men, like boys, and start becoming men, like no one has helped them passageway like into these sort of points. And that's what I see is happening here. We're missing a mark there. And so girls are turning into young women who have no idea what they want, need, desire, have no idea about their womb, their energy, their true essence. And this is where I'm seeing that people get tripped up, right? Because then what are they doing? Like they just haven't touched it and tasted it themselves. And so they have no idea what they're opening up and allowing to
Hmm.
happen. And then they just constantly get into like, you know, they have babies, they move through that, become mothers. Again, another point of transition where we don't actually guide mothers through this pivotal moment of like power and reclamation. And then they get into their later life and they feel completely lost. They have
Hmm.
absolutely no idea who they are. They haven't really touched or tasted any parts and pieces within themselves. And they're just walking around like sort of empty vessels and, yeah, feeling like they don't know who they are and what they want and lost. And yeah, I would love your thoughts on that experience
Yeah.
a lot that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah. That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah. I feel, obviously we've had indigenous cultures spanning the globe that had rites of initiation and we're much more in tune with the cycles and rhythms of nature. And our over culture, the Western culture, has completely cut us off from that. So we are in a different age now. I do see there's a subculture. Like I think the culture we're a part of is like re-enlivening like rites of initiation. But in the larger overarching Western culture, there is that missing link of these pivotal rites of initiation. So I'll kind of speak to the feminine first. That like essentially we call them like the blood rites, right? Like the blood mysteries, because it's like as soon as we get our menarche, as soon as we get our first bleed, our erotic aliveness, our erotic pulse comes online. It's like we now can create life, and that sexual current comes online. And in a young body now, young girls are getting it as young as 9.
So
It's
young.
like you do not have the developmental capacity to really understand what just awakened within your felt sense of your body. And that's why it is so pivotal that we are creating rites of initiation, that there are women of leaders and mamas that have reclaimed their own wombs to be able to teach that to our younger generation so that they can know how sacred and worthy and how to work with that current of energy. And for men, it's this their sexual energy, the pulse of life that pulses through their body is like magnified, right? Like men's testosterone like puts their sexual like drive on like 1,000. I don't even know. I was pregnant with a boy, so I had like lots of testosterone running through my body. So I feel like I finally felt, I'm like, oh my God, this is what a man feels like. um but again, they don't have the rites of initiation to teach them how to work with that energy. And obviously, there's porn, pornography. There is, there's been this implant in our culture teaching our young boys what sexuality is, and has completely hijacked their dopamine centers and their body centers, so that they're not able to wield their sexual energy and to really contain that energy, and know too that that energy is sacred, to know that they are sacred. There's that missing link. So yes, I just feel like you touching upon that feels so powerful, because our younger generation needs these rites of initiation, need to be taught, and of course developmentally appropriate, but just to know like what you're feeling and sensing in your body is precious, sacred, and there's a way to wield it in right relationship, right? And I think what we've seen is like it's fallen out of integrity, and that's what the harm that we see on this planet is that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's true because like how can you know what you don't know, right? Like
Hmm.
even transitioning, like as you would know, being a mother yourself and actually truly birthing a baby into this realm, like that transition is so sacred. But it's also you're walking again, a full circle moment into an unseen realm. Like who better
Hmm.
to hold your hand, hold your body and heart through that transition than mothers, like people who have
Hmm.
walked have bridged that experience, right? It's like coming forth and giving you a taste of like mother and this new element. And it's the same with like young women, giving you an element of like an erotic woman, a woman
Hmm.
who's in her body, and then allowing her, giving her permission as well, because I know most women in this life, what we are craving and yearning for, both internally and externally, is permission and acceptance. And it's like
Mm.
giving them permission to drop in and to taste that erotic sexual expression within themselves, and then accepting it, like knowing that it's okay. And I believe that if we actually did that, we wouldn't see this huge inversion where women think it's like dirty and gross
Mhm.
and sinful and all of these things, and then not know and not be in, I say this term loosely, but like right relationship. And I mean that as in like right relationship between them and this energy, right? Like their
Yeah.
actual connection with that expression themselves. I'm not talking about a set of like fucking yes and no's and this is right, this is
Yeah.
wrong. It's like
Yeah.
your right relationship, like with your template, with your expression, and moving from that space. It's like how do you not, you don't know what you don't know. So it's like really
Yeah.
important, even to become a mother, like right relationship with you and baby, like as an energy and as an expression in the world. Like it looks, and this is the thing too, this is the thing that I think we've gotten so wrong, is like it's
Mm.
so unique. Like everybody's connection, whether it be with like their sexuality, with God, with who they are, like their blueprint, like their truth, like it's so unique because we are so vastly unique. Like it's not a
Mhm.
set of tick and flicks and I feel like we have gotten that so wrong. And that's why we're so discombobulated in our bodies and our expression, is because we're looking at other people and we're constantly looking for that permission and acceptance. And it doesn't actually happen until we drop in and feel that permission and an acceptance within ourselves, that our
Mhm.
true like architecture of our being comes online, and then we can move forward in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so beautifully said, because I feel like, we're living in a culture that's when we're relating to our sexuality is either hyper expressed or suppressed, right? It's like there's that purity culture like thread, and or like this, yeah, just like we can siphon our own sexual energy out by kind of discarding it through our being without honing it as sacred. So it's like, again, like you spoke to, that truth can only be found within our own being. Truth, to me, God is truth and love, like simply truth and love, and that can exist within our womb, within our body. And when we're not in our body, we can't access that truth. We can't really get into what is the truth that's emanating from my own womb, from my own body, that is guiding me, is my guiding light to know what is the truth of my being, versus like the overculture or the external telling me what is true.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm really emotional that you shared that because
Mm.
it just hits me in my heart, you know, that like that is true. That feels true to me. Like it just is like, oh, that's it. Like it just feels like such a oof moment is like, that's it. That is what's true. It is truth and love and feeling that and birthing that within you is life changing. And I would love to ask actually, you know, for everybody that's kind of like listened to and journeyed with us on this most beautiful and big and raw uh, dive into all the textures of this,
Mm.
I would love to ask if you have any words of like wisdom or, you know, like what is one step that people can take away from listening to this to start really anchoring into their body, to come home to truth and love?
Mm. One thing. I'm like, okay.
Just one,
Let me
like if,
crystallize that.
I mean, you can definitely. What's the most important thing? I mean, there's so many, but definitely just a bit of like guidance around that. Like, yeah, I don't know. There could be
Mm.
multiple things. I'm sorry to put you in a box of one.
No, it's okay. I love it. No, I love this assignment that I have to crystallize it into something. Hmm. Well, yeah, I truly feel that to access divinity is to access our bodies. I feel like we can cerebrally connect into divinity, but it's a felt sense experience. It's a very embodied and lived experience beyond just believing, but to really know and believe in the body. So, in order to access that truth and that love, we have to be present in our bodies. So, that's first and foremost, boop, to the side. So, my one piece of wisdom is if you're looking to bridge that gap and come into your body, I think I kind of named that in the course of this time together, is to become curious about the sensations that you're feeling in your body beyond the story, just turning towards yourself and getting curious. And I always say, place a hand on that part of your body, like place a hand on your being, just like that stance, that posture is like, I'm here with you and I'm listening. And if we can meet ourselves in a place of attunement and listening, not trying to fix, not trying to make it go away, not trying to create something, but just feel it with yourself, we're already bridging that gap.
Oh, yes. I have to attest this. You know, I feel like there's a misconception in our realm and field in the healing world, in the healing system,
Mm.
another matrix system that we're
I
seeing.
know.
And it's like, it's funny because I believe that we try to like burn all of these systems down that we see in the world. And it's so funny because you can move into like the healing system as well and kind of like get caught up in that trying to, anyway, that's a side
Hmm.
note.
Hmm.
But what I want to say is there's this misconception that we have to, yeah, meet these parts and pieces within ourselves or this sensational experience and eradicate it or remove it or
Hmm.
change it and fix it. And I sing this till, you know, the end of my days is like, you never go to war with yourself. Like that is constantly becoming your own enemy, right? You are wanting to go to war with yourself. You're wanting to change. And then that is not the texture of and the tone of love. Like that is
Hmm.
to be with it, to sit with it, to allow it to be, and everything shifts and moves and changes organically if it is meant to,
Yes.
right? Like that is
Yeah.
actually the cellular experience that I see and witness with people. It's like just doing that in and of itself allows it to restore itself to its organic movement. And then that
Yes.
is where
Yeah.
we see that truth emerge from within.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like the more time you spend with your body and the more you tune in, your body will start to show you where it needs to move. And I think that's like the deeper feminine alchemy work, the deeper feminine embodiment work, is like then you're going to the next level of like, okay, I have the sensation. It's feeling like this. Okay, let me breathe into it. Let me feel it. And then now, oh, it's changing texture. Oh, it wants to move. Oh, I need to like move my body. I need to like vocalize. I need to cry. I need to rage. Like your body will show you how that sensation, how that emotion, how that energy needs to move. And that brings us like all the way back to the beginning around not staying stuck, right? This is how you learn how to not stay stuck and how we do have the power to move this through our beings. And we are divine and we can bring our own loving gaze, our own loving witness and presence to ourselves and hold that space. Even when you feel like you're dying inside and everything's crumbling around you, like you can hold yourself and feel it and let it rip through you and know that you're held by your loving arms and that you got you. And I feel like, yeah, I know you know that because there's no way we would be here right now if we didn't find ourselves in that place time and time and time again, where the only person you have is yourself and God, right? Like you only have the divine and your being to get you through like the darkest portals of our existence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oof, that is such a powerful point to really, yeah, anchor in here. Like at this moment, I feel like we have come full circle in our journey
Yeah.
and in our, yeah, this beautiful journey of the podcast, I guess. And before we actually sort of close, I would love to
Yeah.
ask you to just drop into your body and see if
Mm.
there's any other, yeah, pockets of
Mm.
wisdom or points that really want to be expressed through you before we leave today.
Hmm. Yeah, I think something's coming through for anybody that's listening that feels like this call to this deeper work, but maybe experiencing fear.
Oh,
Um, Fear of facing what was horrifying, like fear of going back into the places that really disintegrated our sense of self and safety. Um, and so for those people that are kind of feeling that, like, oh my gosh, I want to step into this, but oh my gosh, I'm so scared. What I might say, which I feel like you would do the same. So I feel like I'm speaking for both of us, is
yeah.
that, this is a slow, gentle journey. And it is pivotal that you find a guide, whether it's a therapist, a coach, whatever label you want to do, but like someone who understands trauma, who's lived it, who's really integrated it, and has that frame of mind to go slow with you. I feel, I've seen a lot of re traumatization happen through containers with people that aren't well equipped to really be attuned to the person. So it's just knowing like you can go as slow as you need to, and that slowness is still going to be very pivotal.
Mm. Yeah, I love that you brought that in. And I feel like it's such an important piece because that is one of the things that hinders people a lot from taking
Hmm.
this first step and this journey into reclamation of themselves and their sexuality or, coming into their bodies. So many people are so frightened. There is this energy of fear running
Mm.
through them of, yeah, having to go back, having to relive these horrible, like painful experiences, or any experience that has created like great harm or trauma within the body, and not wanting to go there. And it's like, yeah, really grasping that the energy of fear here is an illusion keeping you from your own
Hmm.
power, which, if you are, it doesn't feel like an illusion, it feels very real within the body system. But
Yeah.
really leaning into that and knowing that fear is also like the sensational, because if we were to strip it of its label, the sensation of fear in the body can feel like excitement underneath that and like a full yes. And it's hard to understand if you're only just connecting with the body and the sensations. But it's, again, I'm going to loop back around what you said and hook it in here about being playful and curious with the sensation of fear within your body, and going deeper into that can help you unlock what is happening to really be able to listen to that calling. Like, as we said, the calling does not come from external and you make a choice logically. It's a pulling in, and calling in that you feel. So I really
Yeah.
feel like that can really help you with taking the first step, and absolutely true to be discerning about who you call into your space, because when you are working with the body and going to the deeper layers of the being, you really want somebody who's been there and can hold you, because when you say yes to somebody working with your body, you are opening up your body to their body as well. So
Yeah.
really understanding that and being discerning when you open up your space that way can really help. And it's
Yeah.
vital. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So gorgeous. Okay, thank you. I know before we end that this has been a huge experience for a lot of people. Like, I can already
Mhm.
feel like we've touched on so many layers and textures and energies, and if it has been quite a lot in the head, or you're having some problems or difficulties kind of synthesizing it within your body, I would ask you to go and ground and eat something nice and get into your body, and really using your breath to anchor in. So, sort of breathing down into your womb and letting it land, with the roots of the earth, or doing some deep embodiment work to just kind of be and allow it
Mhm.
to land on the layers of your being. And then, of course, I would love to say thank you to you for joining me today and sharing this energy, time, space,
Mhm.
pathway with me. I am in awe of you and your work and what you've been through and who you are and your soul and your light. It is illuminating and inspiring. And I am so honored to journey and walk this with you. And I know so many people are going to be touched by this. And so yeah, I would love to ask you to, yeah, share your work, share your medicine, because I know, yeah, people will want to get in contact with you and perhaps, yeah, connect in with your body and what you do.
Yeah, well, before I go there, I just want to let you know that I feel like you're just like a divine fractal of me. Like I'm looking at a part of me, and it's been such an honor to just be in this space with you, to share in this. And I just know, it's like I almost know this felt resonance that we both share, and it's really special. So I honor you for creating this platform where you're sharing your voice and you're sharing your gifts, and for everything you've traversed to arrive into the embodiment of yourself. I love you. And
I love you
just,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, I just had to say that before I go into, whatever I do. I'm just like, oh, okay. So yes, to get in contact with me, the only form of social media I have is my Instagram. It's Sovereign Womb Alchemy, and I have a website, www.sovereignwombalchemy.com. The website holds a lot of information about the services that I hold, the programs that I have. I have a lot there. There's things that you can buy to do on your own. I do obviously one-on-one work as well. So I always invite people to reach out. I do offer free consult calls, and I think that's like the most potent way to really tune into what is going to be the best form of starting this work and tasting this work with me, and we can really gauge where you're at. And I think that's a part of what I was speaking to, is like I'm really aware, like trauma aware, and I want to know like what tools are you bringing and where are you, so we can meet you in a threshold where you have the capacity to hold where we're meeting you, and we're not going to just rush you into the deep end without you already having tools and capacities to widen that in a way that is sustainable. So that's like, I'm big on that. Um, and then I'm really excited about my newest offering. I'm actually launching within the next day or so. Yeah, it's called Womb Restoration. And
Ooh,
this has been birthed through pretty much everything I've ever been through, like everything we spoke today, all of like the accolades, the certifications, but my lived embodiment and the work I do with my clients. And this container is a 3-month deep dive with me. Week to week, we're doing live calls. There's an online portal, there's a workbook, and this is specifically for women who've experienced womb trauma. So this is everything from sexual trauma, sexual violation, to hysterectomies, partial hysterectomies, to abortion, miscarriage, infant loss. I mean, if the womb experienced pain and trauma, this is a container for you. And I spend an entire month before we even go into the somatic work of meeting the body. We do an entire month of accessing resource. I'm giving all of my somatic tools, all my my tools, like everything for you to have in your toolbox to really create that sense of safety before we go into the deep dive. For 2 months, we're going to meet every gateway of the yoni and the womb, and we're going to meet ourselves in touch and meet ourselves in the quantum, and we're going to do big clearing. Anything that's not organic to your being, we're bringing all of your energy back to you and clearing what's not there. So this is like an entire restoration process that I feel I'm really excited about. It feels like my like entire life's work has been leading up to this point. So
Oh,
I feel like super on fire about it.
yes, I can feel that passion and that
Yeah.
conviction and that like
Yeah.
truth, like being real. I'm like feeling on fire for it too. So I know it's going to be
Yeah.
powerful and potent. And you know, any woman who goes into that journey with you is going to be so blessed and actually,
Mm.
yeah, transformed. Like I can feel that in you. So yeah, I even want to do it. Like get on it. Yes.
Come on, everybody. No,
Woo! Everybody come on.
I'm gonna have it be a small. It's only gonna be 9 people. I feel like having it be intimate feels really important. So
Yes.
I trust the souls that are meant to be in that space will find their way to me.
Oh, you
Yeah.
are a gift. You are a medicine, and I
Yeah.
love you. Thank you so
I love
much.
you too. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh this fine, beautiful day. I hope that you were, yeah, touched, transformed, moved, and I hope that this ripples out around your being to the people around you, and it touches far and wide. And if you'd love to share and get in contact with either of us to, yeah, let us know how it lands. Like, leave your comments. We are big believers in like that connection and that beautiful, like, felt sense of, yeah, like inspiration. And yeah, let us know. Let us know what your wombs think. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.